All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Miracle Worker Live Q&A. I'm sitting here with Ellen Fondela,
Hi, everyone. Good to be here.
and she is coming to you live from California, and I'm here in New York City. So it's a very, I don't know, distant, wonderful, magical occasion. So what we're here to do today is to answer a few questions that you guys asked over the last few days. We've had a bunch of them submitted through the Q&A on Google Hangout, and we've also had some come through by email. So we're going to answer those. But firstly, we wanted to talk to you a little bit about the course. So Ellen, do you want to give us an intro about the course?
Well, the course is meant to work you through a series of workbooks and worksheets and questions and introspections about how to figure out what you want to do and how to take the first steps and how to find a job and how to tell your story, how to start a business. So wherever you are in the process, interviewing, mentorship, staying healthy, wherever you are in the process, there's something here for you. If you have no idea what you want to do, we can bring you through the whole process. If you know what you want to do but you can't figure out how to get there, it's going to help you with that. Plus, we have these amazing interviews with Danielle Laporte and Mickey Agrawal and James Altucher, some great, great people that you will find really inspiring. Anything else, Gala?
I think that's about it. But yeah, Ellen and I met in New York City back in, I think it was October of last year. And we immediately started talking about, the need for people to do meaningful work and how it's not enough for us just to, kind of take what's given to us anymore. We want to create a life that has meaning, and your work is such a huge part of that. So we started to discuss all the ways that women can do that. And Ellen was like, oh, we have to create a course about this. This is brilliant stuff. And so we've, had a million phone calls. We've flown back and forth. We've exchanged about 10,000 emails. And we've put this course together that we're extremely proud of, and I know is going to help so many of you a lot. The workbooks that Ellen has put together are amazing. I've never seen anything like them. They're full of extremely insightful, thoughtful questions that will really have you, diving deep into your own psyche and figuring out what it is that is most valuable to you. So they're amazing, amazing. And the interviews that I've done with all of these great people, I think we've talked about some really interesting and slightly unconventional and surprising things. So they're a great source of knowledge as well.
And for both of us, we really believe how important it is that people do work they love. So our real goal is to help you find work that you really love, because that'll make you happy and it'll make this world a much better place if people are doing the things that they love to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we have a pre-sale price right now, which is $97, and that goes up at midnight tonight. So if you want to join us as part of Miracle Worker, I mean, who doesn't want to save a few bucks? So I would suggest buying it at the pre-sale price before midnight tonight. Okay. So
just so you know, Gala, I cannot see questions, so you can see them, so you can be the reader.
All right, I'm going to bring them up. So interestingly, they're not appearing on the side, but thankfully I copied and pasted them earlier, so I'm just going to read them off, and we're going to do it that way. So here is our first question. This is from a girl called Emma, and she said, "Hi ladies, I'm struggling with my new office job that I started a month ago. I want to quit now, but I have friends and family in my ear telling me that this is a great opportunity for me, that I will progress in the industry, get a good pension with full-time hours. It's just that I don't know if it is right for me. I can't bear the few months just folding letters and sticking them in envelopes for 7 hours a day. What advice, if any, do you suggest for someone who is ready to throw the towel in after only a month? P.S. I don't know what I really want in life or career." So Ellen, do you want to take this one?
Sure. Well, first of all, I would not feel badly about leaving after a month. I would not, say that should be the game changer here. I think really the question is, do you need this job to eat, to have a roof over your head? Is there other work you can find that will do those things? Because, I would hate to see you in soul-crushing work. So I think you need to do a budget, you need to figure out what you need, and you need to maybe look around and see what else is out there for you. But don't feel badly about leaving a job after a month. these things happen. You tried it on, it's just not working.
I mean, I think if it's terrible and it's only been a month and your friends and family are telling you how great it'll be to have a pension, like, your pension won't be worth having after, 20 years of doing this. So,
Exactly.
I mean, there's nothing worse than doing something that feels completely pointless and soul-sucking. It's just the worst feeling.
Because eventually it's going to get to you. You're going to hate to wake up in the morning. You're going to hate to go to work. So I would cut your losses while you can and just find something else. There are lots of things out there. And in the process of doing it, and maybe in the process of taking the course, you'll figure out other things that you want to do with your life.
Right. Your purpose might become more clear to you. So, you'll figure out what is really ringing your bell.
Exactly.
Okay, here's our next question. This is from Sarah. She said, broadly speaking, I know what I'm interested in and passionate about, health and well-being. However, I have no idea what part of that I want to be in. Can doing a course really tell me exactly what I want to do so I can start working towards it? I'm going insane trying to figure out what I really want to do career-wise. I know what I don't want to do, but cannot figure out what I do want to do. It's so frustrating. So, Ellen, do you want to take this one?
Sure. There's no question. Excuse me, let me have some water here. There's no question that this course will help you narrow down what it is you want to do. We have a lot of worksheets and a lot of self-reflection questions about what makes you happy, what doesn't make you happy, how do you take the first steps, how do you combine what it is you're good at and what it is that there's a need for in the world, things that will help narrow down all the possibilities. And by just giving yourself the 8 weeks to really focus on trying to think about what it is you want to do, in and of itself will be helpful. So you're clearing the decks and giving yourself time to try to figure out and narrow down the possibilities.
Yeah, I think one of the things that's most valuable about this class is the workbooks that Ellen has put together, because the questions are very insightful, and sometimes just being asked the right question at the right time can really change your whole perspective on things. So I think this will really help you just to focus in on what it is you want. I feel like there are a lot of people who know what they don't want, but that never helps you really, because all you're thinking about is, I don't want this, and then inevitably that's what ends up happening. So it's essential to figure out what you do want, and I think this course will really help you with that. I also think that the community aspect of the Facebook group, which is already super lively, is really valuable too, because you'll be talking to other people about your experiences, and firstly you'll realize you're not alone, and secondly you never know what someone in this class might say to you that could jog a thought or an idea that is really helpful for you.
And I think the other thing that both Gala and I have experienced, I've done lots of different things in my life, Gala's done lots of different things. You're not stuck with just one thing. The decision you make now is the decision for now. And in the future, you may have other interests. Something else may come along that really is exciting for you. What we try to do is really help you open up to the possibilities and really pick what works for you right now in the moment. We encourage you to go talk to people who are doing things that you admire, people that you want to find out how they got to where they are. So there are all these action steps that will help you in, unveiling perhaps what is the right decision.
Yeah, definitely. So here's another question from someone called Ellen. She said, "Hi, Gala and Ellen. Thank you so much for hosting this Q&A session." You're welcome, Lauren. I'm about to finish college and want to save up some money to travel for a while and start a travel blog. In this situation, I have several months before I would launch into running my business full-time, so I want to fully prepare myself. What habits should someone have in place in order to be more successful at starting an online business? So I think Ellen's tip earlier about knowing your budget and knowing how much money you need to survive on is an essential one. When it comes to running a business, we're really talking about this is how you're going to sustain yourself, so you need to know what it costs you to live. And even though you'll be traveling and sometimes it'll be more expensive and sometimes it'll be less expensive depending on where you are, you still need to know kind of roundabout how much money you need to live. The other thing I would say is, if you're wanting to start a blog, it's really essential to figure out who you're writing for, what your niche is, what makes you different, and to really focus on that, because if you don't know what you're trying to achieve with your blog, you'll just kind of go in circles and you'll spin your wheels. So another thing that's important is to figure out what makes your blog different and how you intend on making money from it. Do you want to make money from sponsorship? Do you want to sell ads? Do you want to do sponsored posts? Do you want to sell your own products, physical or digital? There's a million ways that you can skin that cat. So I would recommend really thinking about those things. There's a lot of, I think a lot of people start a blog because it's easy and it doesn't require a lot of setup and it's cheap to begin, but there are a lot of questions you need to answer in order for it to be successful. So also I would recommend checking out theblogacademy.com, which is a class that I teach with two of my best friends, and we teach women basically how to make their blog into a business. So that will be really useful for you too.
And the other thing you should realize is that, you know, blogging or solo entrepreneurship, you spend a lot of time by yourself. So you have to be self-motivating, and if that's not something that comes easily to you, you might want to start a mastermind group with other people in your community that are doing their own thing, so you have some support out there, or even find a partner, because some people just work better when they're working with somebody else. So that's something you need to ask yourself.
Yeah, it can be really hard to work by yourself and to motivate yourself. So it's good to, even if you start your blog early, and just to kind of test it out and see whether you can motivate yourself to write the posts and stay on top of social media.
Yeah.
It's a really good little test.
I think that's a great idea. And also you could go to co-working spaces, you can work in coffee shops, but you can use this time to figure out where you get and how you get the most work done.
Yeah, definitely. So our next question is from Carrie Ann, and this is a very long question, so I'm just going to truncate it a little bit. She said, during the week I work at an accounting firm doing books and taxes. I have a passion for supporting local business, and I really like making cupcakes. I started making cupcakes for staff birthdays at work, and then I started getting requests to make them for other people. She started a blog, and then after she started the blog, she's had a lot of requests on Facebook for cupcakes for weddings and charity events and that kind of thing. She said, my heart and stomach is filled with anxiety, excitement, and fear. Her blog was intended to be an outlet, and it feels like the universe is telling her to pursue cupcakes, but she's not sure if that's what she really wants from life. She's also doing books for people on the side, so her family members and people like that. And the company that she works for during the week is very supportive of employees working from home, so that's an option too. She just doesn't know where to go from here. She feels very scattered. There's a lot going on in her head. So Ellen, what would your advice be to Carrie Ann in this situation?
Well, I think, like, you know, this is sort of an embarrassment of riches. I mean, you know that you have like 2 or 3 things that you're pretty happy doing. You might want to pick one, dedicate yourself to it for 6 months or a year, and see what happens. Maybe try the cupcakes. And if you decide, I ran a bakery for a while and I loved it when I did it. But after a couple of years, you get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and you're smelling like sugar and chocolate all day long, and it's hard work. So you have to make sure that it's something that really suits your personality. I don't know if you have kids, but it's really hard to do when you have kids and a family. So you have to take all those things into consideration. But the point is, you can't go wrong. If you could try something for a year, if it doesn't work, then you know you have something else that you really love doing. And don't feel that it's bad to stop once you start. It's all of these experiences just add to the pool of things that you learn how to do and ultimately make you into who you are. So I think you're in a win-win.
I also think, you know, if you don't give the cupcake thing a try, then you'll always wonder if that could have been the thing that would make you happy. So I think it's important when these opportunities present themselves to give them a good shot and really try and see if you can make it work. And, you know, like Ellen was saying, you don't have to do it forever. Nothing is forever. So
nothing's forever.
Try it for a few months and then see how you go. Okay, our next question is from Cassie, who I've seen a lot of. She's wonderful. Hi, Gala and Ellen. I cannot wait for the course to begin. I work full-time, so I work on my creative passion projects in the evenings and weekends. While all the things I work on are things I want to do, as my time is precious, I want to focus my energy on projects that will turn my hobby into a career. I feel like I'm always working, and while it is fun and I'm proud of what I've done so far, what can I do to reassure myself I am on track to becoming a professional writer? How can I make sure I'm using my time effectively? Thanks in advance. I cannot wait to get started on the miracles. The prep work has invigorated and inspired me so much already. Ah, that's nice. So my advice as someone who does write for a living is if you want to be a professional writer, what I would focus on is setting yourself some goals first and foremost. You need to know what you're trying to achieve. So do you want to write novels? Do you want to freelance for magazines? Do you want to run your blog full time? What is it that really sings to you? What is it that really lights you up? And once you know what that thing is, then you can look very aggressively at the way you're spending your time and ask yourself every day, is this going to move me closer to my goal, or is it not going to make any difference? I think especially when you're a writer, and a lot of writing is, sourcing inspiration, talking to other writers. I think a lot of writers like to talk and research creativity rather than necessarily doing things. It's a great procrastination tool. I do it a lot. But if you can, really focus on what will actually get you closer to that goal, that's very, that's the most important thing.
Also, I'm sorry, go ahead, Gal.
No, that's what I was going to say.
And I think that, if you say to yourself, I'm going to write for 30 minutes a day, or get up 30 minutes early or an hour early, and just like put that time aside to work. And I also remember Alex Franzen a while ago had a blog post about how many ways there are to be a writer. It's not just about writing a book, and it's not just about blogging, but you could do copy editing, you could, write for blogs, you could write for magazines. There are so many ways to write. You might want to look through Alex's blogs and try to find it. But there were about 30, 35 ways to be a writer. So I wouldn't so you hem yourself in so much where you say, if I don't write a book, then I'm not really a writer.
Yeah, there are so many other ways to be a writer these days. It doesn't have to just be, that you write books. It could be anything. It's such a vast arena, really. And interestingly, the next question is from Steph, and Steph is a writer, and I think she's in the course as well, so you guys should definitely connect in the Facebook group, and Steph is a fountain of knowledge, but this is her question. She said, I have a big, scary decision coming up. If things stay their course, I will be able to quit my job to write fiction full-time next year. What I want to know is, practically, what do I have to have in place to live creatively? I know I have the work ethic to produce what I need to when I'm at home, but what else do I need? What money should I have saved up? What professionals do I need on board? What business and personal decisions and processes do I need to have in place? What is the life of a writer like? Should I think about having a mentor? How do I get in a headspace where being a fiction writer feels like a legitimate career and not just a selfish, childish dream? I'm going to give this one to you, Ellen.
I think there are so many things you can do, and this is great. I mean, congratulations. But I think having a mentor is a great idea. Excuse me.
Steph is a badass. It is true. She is legit. That's legit great. To quit.
So having a mentor, taking some sort of workshop. There are some great writers, Cheryl Straya, Danny Shapiro, Iowa Writers Workshop. They have all sorts of workshops that people can take. So being around writers will inspire you to write. Maybe starting a writers group yourself, or joining a writers group in your community.
That one is a good tip for Cassie as well, to start a writers group. Yeah.
Just having the support of other writers around you, and just keep writing and writing and writing. And I think what Gala says is know what your ultimate goal is and know what it is you're trying to get done.
I think also, you're asking, how much money should you have saved up and what professionals do you need on board. Honestly, I don't know that you need many professionals on board. I think you need a good, supportive group around you, but you don't necessarily need to retain anybody's services. And as far as the money you need saved up, I mean, only you know what it costs for you to live. Right. I know that you live a pretty sustainable lifestyle, so hopefully your costs aren't that extravagant, but at least if you know your baseline cost, then you'll know, how much work you need to do, how much product you need to sell, or whatever, in order to make that goal every month.
And I think for everybody, doing a budget, I know for me, I spent so many years when I didn't do a budget, and I was a little bit nervous when I started to look at all the money I was spending on coffee and the things we spend money on. But, there's something about the truth really does set you free. And once you see it out there, after you sort of get over your initial shock, once you see it out there, it's really helpful, because then you can make a decision. What kind of life do I want to be living? And what kind of choices do I want to make? So if you really want to dedicate your life to writing, well, then you can say to yourself, okay, so I won't go buy shoes or I won't go on that vacation. You know, we all need to make choices, and it's just important to know, you know, what the numbers are and what the choices are, and then you can live the way you need to live.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, looking at a budget is a horrifying concept for a lot of us, especially creatives. It's like the last thing we want to do with our time. But once you know, then you are totally free to make more informed decisions, and that's real power in your own life. Here's a question from Minnie. She said, are the interviews during the course available live at a particular time only, or will they be available to view later at my convenience? And is the cost of the program $100, or are there any other fees later? So the first is that the interviews are available basically as soon as we email them to you, and you can then download them to your computer, and you can listen to them whenever you like. So they're available for as long as you can keep them on your computer for. And then the cost of the program is actually $3 less. It's $97. And there are no additional fees unless you decide to buy a Spark Pack, which is an add-on of some extra workbooks and love letters from me and Ellen, or if you want to do Miracles on Demand, which is our 2-on-1 coaching session that we do, which is basically just like this, where we're kind of in a Google Hangout with you and we're just talking and brainstorming some ideas for you. So no, it's a one-time payment, and that's all. Okay, this next question is from Kathy. She said, I lost my husband 2 months ago and I'm feeling adrift. It's hard to get motivated to sink my teeth into things I need to do when my teammate isn't here to be proud of me anymore. I need to clean the house, seriously, it's in chaos, and settle the estate and sell one of the cars and pretty soon get back to my career, and I'm watching the clock tick and not getting off my ass. Help. I don't have time for this foolishness. People need me to get a grip. Yeah, I know I'm depressed, whatever. I need to get stuff done even while I'm grieving, and this paralysis only makes the depression worse. Do you want to answer this one, Ellen?
Sure. Well, first of all, so sorry for your loss, and I know how hard it must be. Yeah, I've been through a lot of loss, and you can't rush these things. You have to let yourself feel what you feel. Obviously, if you need to get back to work and start making some money, you've got to do what you've got to do, but you've also have to be kind to yourself. You have to give yourself time to grieve, give yourself time to go through the process, and just know it's not going to be like this forever. There will be days that you feel so much better, and then more days, and pretty soon, you know, you will feel somewhat back to yourself. But I think pushing it and rushing it is just not the right thing to do. So be kind to yourself is my advice.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, our next question is from Vanessa. She said, so the first question is practical, can I pay in installments? The answer is yes. Just send us an email. Probably love@galadarling.com is the easiest email address to send it to, and we will just invoice you individually. Secondly, I'm currently what I consider an undergraduate non-traditional student. I've been wanting to start a blog for a while, but I don't know if I want to even bother with monetizing it. Is it okay to try a bunch of categories instead of trying to find a niche and stick to that? Also, university is my soul-sucking job. How do I manage to not lose my spark for creativity while trudging through these last couple of years? It seems to get more difficult every year and with the older I get. So as far as your blog goes, I think this is like what we were saying earlier about the woman with the cupcakes and everything else. It's important to choose one thing and give it a try. If you jump from genre to genre, you know, constantly, you're going to confuse your readers and you're going to confuse yourself too. So what I would suggest doing is pick one thing that you're really interested in, one area, one arena, one, you know, concept, and give that a shot for 3 to 6 months and see how you like it. And if it doesn't work, then you can try something else, but you're really going to have to stick with it to see whether it works. Firstly, you've got to give it enough time to see whether it's going to sink or fly. And then as for your second question, I'm going to quickly answer and then I'm going to let Ellen take it over, but she's talking about, you know, not losing your spark for creativity. I think one of the best things that you can do is look at the people in the industry that you're looking to get into and see what they're doing, you know, see if you can shadow them or help them, and maybe seeing what you can do with your degree once it's done will inspire you to keep going. It'll remind you what you're working for. What are your suggestions on that, Ellen?
I think also taking workshops on the weekend. I don't know if you're wanting to do art or writing or what kind of creative outlet, but there are all sorts of 2-day workshops you can do, or maybe a course during the semester at night, like on a Wednesday night or Tuesday night, maybe a part-time job working in a gallery or working with other artists, something to keep you connected to that community and to keep you connected to your right brain, I think is really important.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, here is our next question. I'm going to throw this one to you, Alan. This is from Ashley. She said, I've been searching for what I'm meant to do / be as a career path and passion. I want to help people and have worked in several fields, all without that click. I've been searching and exploring career options using StrengthsFinder 2.0, personality tests, INFP if it matters, life coaching, endless articles and books, but none of the job matches really appeal to me. I'm considering this program and have tried many others without much success. I wonder, what am I doing wrong? Why can't I figure it out? If I invest my time, money, and energy into this program, is there a guarantee of finding my next path? Many thanks.
Well, I don't know that we can guarantee it, but I think this course can really help direct you towards there. I think both Gala and I take an alternative approach to trying to help you figure out what you want to do. Mm-hmm. And we try to stay away from having you find your passion before you figure out what it is you want to do, because I think that can be sort of a trap. Everybody, if you don't feel like this is your passion, then you get stuck. I think, we ask you questions like, what are the things you love? What are the things you hate? And we try to put it together like pieces of a puzzle, so by the end of it, you get some sense of, well, maybe this would be something I could try, or maybe this area would be something that would interest me. We also encourage you, and we do this through action steps, and each week there's a different focus on a subject. But we encourage you to find mentors and talk to people about how they got to where they are today and what are the things that led them to where they are, and to, write emails to your friends where they write back to you and say, what are the 10 things about me that come to mind? And you get 100 emails back, or you get 100 things back that with consistent, you're outgoing, you're so great with words, you're really great with people, and all these pieces put together a big puzzle for you that I think will help you figure it out.
Yeah, and I think the other great thing about this class is we're giving you consistent action to take every week. So even if you don't necessarily figure out exactly what you want to do with your life, you're being given these steps that will definitely be moving you closer to figuring it out. And so every week you'll make a little bit more progress, and you'll be learning a little bit more about yourself and about what turns you on, what turns you off, and that all helps to inform, what you want to do with your life.
And a lot of this is also having courage. It's having courage to go out in the world, to email people that you don't know, to go to networking events. And you have a whole support group here. You have a Facebook group, which I've been loving reading this Facebook group. People are terrific, and they're really supportive of one another already.
And so interesting, such a vastly diverse, brilliant group of people. Amazing.
But all over the world. So, you have people. It is so important in this world to have people who support you and who say, go for it. Because we're all just human, and we all make mistakes, but we just need that extra little support and encouragement to go for our dreams. And I think that this course really helps you do that.
Yeah. Our next question is from Ronnie, who says, hi, I would like to know what I need to prepare for if I have decided to change the field of work completely. Besides the potential drop in salary, what else should I be expecting? So, I think when you go into something new, I can really only, talk about this as relates to my job when I went from being employed as a temp or in retail to running my own business. I feel like running your own business is the ultimate test in going through your own personal stuff. You start to realize all the self-doubt you have, all the limiting beliefs that you hold, and you start to really figure them out, because if you don't, your business isn't going to grow. So I always feel like when you try something new, those are the things that tend to come up for you. It's a lot of questioning of your own belief systems and your own perspectives of the world. So that would be the major thing that I would say. What about you, Ellen?
Well, having changed jobs a lot, I can say it's never easy. There's always that time period when you feel slightly lost. I like to use the example of when a chrysalis becomes a butterfly and they're liquid for a period of time. And there is a period of time when you feel liquid, when you just don't feel grounded. You don't feel like that you know where your feet are on the ground. Mm-hmm. And that could be a little scary. But I think that knowing that you'll get through that. And it could last for, my last transition, it took me like 6 to 8 months to figure out what I wanted to do next. And I just had to have the faith that I would eventually get there. And you will eventually get there. Everybody does. You will eventually figure out what it is you want to do, and you will eventually find something that makes you really happy.
Yeah. Okay, here's a question from Allison. Hello, miracle workers. I would love your help. I've been working in my career for 8 years now. Although I love my work environment and have moved up the ladder, I'm totally bored at work 80% of the time. I'm ready to make more and have that excitement back that I had the first few years of my job. My question is, do you think it's better to just work my job that I'm not miserable at while I continue to grow my blog? I've been blogging for 1.5 years now and went to Blog Academy in San Francisco. Or is it better to try to find a new job that excites me while continuing to put love and attention on my blog? I'm just nervous I'll have less energy than I do already when learning a new job. Thank you. Ellen, what do you think about that?
Well, I think that if you're not miserable at your job, I would stay there and maybe try to make it a little more interesting. Maybe there's a project that you could bring to the job that you're not already doing, that your boss might be interested in having you do, or maybe there's a way you can switch to a different position in the company. But if there's something you're comfortable with and you're trying to start this new creative endeavor, which is your blog, I would suggest that you stay with what you're comfortable with and put your creative energy into starting the blog. See how it feels 6 months or a year from now, and then think about making some changes. And I would also seriously think about, how can I make the dailiness of my life at this job a little better and a little more interesting, because there's always some things you can do to shift things around.
Yeah, I think you need to look for the challenges that are available to you already without throwing in the towel and leaving. If you've been there for 8 years and you love your work environment and you've moved up the ladder and all of that stuff, I wouldn't throw it away just because you're bored, because I think there are ways around that and there are ways to work with that. Okay. Our next question is from Melissa, and she said, how do you know when it's time to get serious about your creative side project as a business? If you're ready to take the step towards dedicating more time to your passion, what part-time jobs do you recommend that will leave you with enough energy to still be creative at the end of the day? What do you think about that, Ellen?
Well, I think here's the budget question again. I think, first of all, you need to do a budget, and you need to figure out how much money you need. And then, the world is your oyster. I mean, I don't know what you're particularly interested in, but there's so many part-time jobs you can take, anything from dog watching to nannying to working in a company to helping in an office. I mean, whatever is something that would be interesting to you that would also give you enough time to do the creative side project and make that more into a business. The other thing I would suggest is that you get a part-time job and you just do it particular days of the week. So let's say Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday you do your job, so you can work on your creative project on Tuesday and Friday, and you have full days to really focus on just doing one thing at a time, and
right.
You won't feel cut into a million pieces.
Right, because it's very hard to switch gears from one thing to another, especially when it's something maybe kind of menial to something that's creative. That can be very difficult. The other thing I would say is that you can get a lot done in a day if you're not checking your email all the time, you're not on social media constantly, and if you just really focus, like I was saying earlier to Cassie, is to really think about what is going to move me forward here, what am I trying to achieve, what do I need to do maybe to make this side project a full-time project, how much money would I need to make, how many clients would I need to have, how many words do I need to write a day, or whatever the thing is. But once you know what you're trying to achieve, then you can figure out how to get there. You just have to reverse engineer it.
I agree.
Yeah. Okay, this is from She Potter Glee Hoovian. And she said, I'm 19 and take care of my mother. I can't get a different job because I'm always with her. But do you have any tips for just feeling better and invigorated when you're doing the same thing every day? Well, when we read this question, Ellen and I were discussing it, and we were like, it feels like you're just not there at all. Your identity is about taking care of your mother, and while that's a very admirable and honorable thing to do, and you deserve all the praise in the world for doing it, you still need to make time to spend time alone and figure out who you are and, allow yourself to dream and your imagination to flourish and all of those things. So I think the best thing to do is, try and carve out some time for yourself. I think even if you just spend some time where you go for a walk or you're exercising or whatever, that will be really valuable time that you can just spend by yourself thinking about yourself and your life and what you want to achieve with it. Did you have anything to add to that?
Cut off here.
Oh.
We're getting a little cut off here. I also think like maybe looking, I don't know if you have family members that could, help you a couple hours a week, or maybe there's some community organizations that can send in a visiting nurse or something so you could get some time to yourself. I think trying to make yourself a bit of a priority would be really helpful to you.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. This is from Megan. Any practical tips for working through the soul-sucking letdown of pouring your heart and lots of hours into job applications you know you are a good, qualified candidate for, and then rarely hearing anything back, let alone getting an interview? Nothing makes me want to curl into a ball and give up more than that feeling. What do you think, Ellen?
Well, I totally understand. I actually just had a client that applied for a job through LinkedIn and never heard back, which happens so often, and I encouraged her. She went on LinkedIn and saw that a friend of a friend knew the executive director, and I encouraged her to try to contact this person. And when she did, she found out that the organization had never received her materials. And when she sent them the materials, they were so excited. They called her in for an interview the next day. Interviews were only going on for like 24 more hours, so she got there just in time. She's still in the process, hasn't heard yet. But often when you apply through, whether it's LinkedIn or a portal of some sort, a computer is trying to match up certain words with certain things in your resume, and sometimes it never gets to where it's supposed to go. So I would really encourage people to go on LinkedIn and try to find a contact in the organization of a friend who knows a friend or whatever you can find, to have some personal contact in the organization that you can also send your resume to, a person who you can also send your resume to, and that way you know a person has received it. Because sometimes we take very personally not to be called in for an interview when in fact nobody's even seen your application materials. Right. So I would do what I could to find a personal contact.
Yeah. Okay, great. I love that. All right. This question is from Ellie. She said, here's my thing. On one hand, I feel creatively driven and long to do something with my hands, to create, imagine, inspire, do. On the other hand, I crave the feeling of professionalism. I've been working a 9-to-5 corporate gig in a gorgeous building downtown, have a big office, and enjoy taking care of high-profile accounts, growing in knowledge about business, accounting, and sales. I feel like I'm two people. How do I reconcile wanting the professional vibe of being part of a big, thriving, swanky city gig and being a woo-woo, earthy, creative gal growing her own veggies and running a business from home? Help. I mean, I think the first thing to keep in mind is that everybody is multifaceted. No one person can be, shrunk down to, I'm just a professional person, you're not a robot. Everybody has unusual interests and things that they like that seem out of character, but that's just how people are. And so I don't think there's really a desperate need for you to reconcile those two parts of you. I think that's just who you are, and that's fantastic. What are your thoughts on that, Ellen, in terms of maybe more the practical side of meshing those together?
Well, I think one is great. You're lucky you have two things that you love. I would do the corporate job until you don't want to do it anymore, and maybe if you can, have a place on the weekend where you grow your own food or in your own home, or try to allow yourself to be these two different, have these two different interests that you have, but enjoy your life. And there's nothing that says you have to do either of them forever. You just know that you're a person with different interests, and when you get tired of doing one thing, you can start doing the other, or maybe bring the other in slowly into your corporate life, and just enjoy yourself as much as you can.
Yeah, I just don't think there's a rush to choose between
exactly
two things. Just be who you are and love it.
You'll know when the time comes when you're saying, I've had enough of the corporate life and now I want to do something else.
Right. Because there definitely is something very alluring about the professionalism, having a big office, doing all that stuff, and feeling important. Like, that's great. You know, even when I had jobs that I didn't like that much, I enjoyed when I had a big office and I felt
Hmm.
like I was an essential part of the business. So there's nothing wrong with that, and that's, you know, it's totally normal. So you're not a freak. It's okay to be woo-woo and like having an office. That's totally
That's
fine.
great.
Yeah. Okay, this question is from Jen. She said, "Hi, I'd love to get some tips on repurposing and rebranding the skills you already have for different industries. I'm a writer, editor, librarian who has primarily worked in advertising and editorial. The recent move from New York City to LA has been a real shift, to put it mildly. I'd also love tips on networking for introverts. Thanks." So my best tip, I guess, for networking for introverts is to give yourself a goal. So when you go somewhere, whether it's a networking event or a party or a, you know, business do, whatever it is, set yourself a goal when you go there. I feel like this is the theme of my whole spiel this hour is about setting goals. But if you give yourself a goal of something that you want to achieve while you're at this networking event, then that makes it less intimidating, I suppose. So if you say to yourself, well, I really want to have 2 great conversations, or I want to, you know, meet 5 interesting people, or whatever it is, then once you go there and you hit that target, you can leave. You don't have to feel like you have to be there all night long. It's always been the thing that bothers me about networking events is I feel, or I used to feel like, oh, you know, I have to go to this event and I'll be there for like 4 hours. You don't have to be there for 4 hours.
Right.
I always love the story about how Anna Wintour goes to parties for 15 minutes. She walks in, she does a lap, she says hello, and she's gone. Because she has to be up at 5:15 to play tennis every morning, so she's not sticking around. So if you set yourself a goal, then that can make the whole networking thing way less terrifying. Another thing I would say is maybe take a wing woman. There might be a friend of yours who's maybe a little bit more outgoing, and you can definitely take them with you. And I always find that when I'm in the company of somebody who's very confident and outgoing, it kind of rubs off, and you start to pick up on their mannerisms a little bit too, so that can be useful. And what do you think about the repurposing and rebranding your skills, Ellen?
Well, I think I want to say one more thing about the networking, and then I'll get to that. Also, in our networking week, in the networking workbook, we have a bunch of templates that will help you go in with, like, you know, help you think about your thoughts beforehand, so you're able to tell people what it is you do, or what your elevator speech is, or, you know, set your little intention for the networking event. So I think those could be very helpful to you.
Mm.
I think in terms of repurposing your skills, um, I think if you like make a list of all the things you've done in your past jobs, writing, working with people, I mean, I don't know what they are, and then you look at other jobs that you might be interested in doing in your new location, and you see how you can sort of use those skills in the new jobs. And I would just like, one thing that I think is so important is just talk to as many people as you can who are working in the industry that you are interested in working in, and ask them what it is they do and what their days are like, and just try to go out to coffee with people and find out about, be curious, find out about their lives. And you'll see how you have some skills that can really fit into this new job that you're wanting to get. And it doesn't have to be like an exact, you know, one for one, but there are lots of ways to write, and there are lots of ways to work with people, and you just have to figure out what you're good at and what you enjoy doing and how you can do that in a different kind of way.
Excellent tips. Very good. Okay, we have 2 questions left, and then I'm going to check the official event page and see if anyone submitted anything else, but we really
And
only
I
have
think we
2
could
more.
go. I think we could go. I'm afraid to press it because I don't want to, you know, get off.
Yeah.
I haven't been that lucky technically today, but there's a Q&A on the side here that I'm wondering if you press the Q&A.
Yeah, it's really weird when I click it, there's
Yeah.
no questions in there. It's just
Okay.
it's
All
really
right.
odd. I don't know why.
Okay.
It's okay though. All right, so second to last question is from Danielle, and this is a really good question that I think a lot of people struggle with. Hey Gala and Ellen, my question is how to reconcile the notions of be grateful that you even have a job in this economy and go for the career of your dreams. Sometimes it feels like leaving a perfectly lucrative, if not unfulfilling job is somehow selfish or being ungrateful. Any advice? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I I think we put ourselves in a trap when we say, I should be grateful for what I have because it's so hard to get a job in this economy. I think everybody deserves to have work that they love. I think when you set your mind to it, you can find work that you love. And I don't think it's a bad thing to leave a job that's just not satisfying you. And I don't see how it serves you to be guilty about it. I just would use the opportunities that you have and maybe use the job that you have as a springboard to try to find something else that you really like to do.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no point in feeling guilty about it. It's not going to achieve anything at all. You might as well just spend your time thinking about what you want to do rather than feeling guilty for having a job. Yeah. Okay, our last question from the submitted Q&As is, this is from Celeste. She said, what are your top tips for going into business for yourself at the edges of your weekdays and weekends while you're full-time for money for someone else without driving yourself insane? How do you manage your time in this kind of situation and still get enough sleep to function? What do you think, Ellen?
Well, I think the bad news here is that when you're trying to work two jobs, it's going to take a lot of time. And I know that, starting a business takes an enormous amount of time. And I know Gala works 6-7 days a week. I work 6-7 days a week. It's just the reality of it.
Yeah.
And that said, sleep is the most important thing of all. So I would really make sure that you carve out. Everybody needs a different amount, but at least 7 hours of sleep a night is just so important, because otherwise your body's going to fall apart. So make sure you sleep, make sure you exercise, make sure you do the things that make you thrive, and then you'll have the energy to do, all the hard work that lies in front of you.
Yeah.
And maybe schedule it. Look at your month, look at your calendar a month at a time, and just schedule like time slots where you can work on this second business that gives you also some breathing room.
Yeah, excellent tips. I mean, that's the thing about starting your own business or doing your own thing on the side. Like, there is so much work that goes into it, and that's really an unavoidable fact. You are going to be busy, but hopefully, the thing that you're working towards is something that's really important to you, and so it doesn't feel like work so much. It hopefully just feels like something that you're passionate about and driven towards and excited about. And I think that's the best case scenario, really.
And maybe even get a partner, so then you can split the work a little bit. Like get somebody who likes to do the things that you don't like to do. If you're not a numbers person, get somebody that's a numbers person. If you don't like to write, get somebody that likes to write. So then you can be doing the things that you're really good at and the things that you really like.
Yeah. Excellent tips. Okay, so we had a few questions emailed through to us as well.
Okay.
Some of them were kind of already answered by those Q&As, so let me just find one. Okay, so this question, I'm just graduating college and I'm thinking about going to graduate school. I'm not sure if I'm just trying to delay the inevitable or if this is the right choice. It's a lot of money and I'm not sure I will end up in any better position to find a job than I am now. How can I best make my decision? What are your thoughts on that? I feel like you have some very strong thoughts about graduate school.
I don't think that anybody should go to graduate school unless it will really help them get to where they want to be. I think going to graduate school because you can't figure out what else to do is truly a waste of money. Graduate school is so expensive these days. And, I would much rather see you take the money and travel around the world. But, if you want to be a lawyer, if you want to be a doctor, if you want to, be a biochemist, I mean, there are obviously certain professions where graduate school really serves you, or if there's a specific program that will get you further along the line to where you want to be. But other than that, I would go out in the world and just work for a while and learn and see what it is you like, and I would certainly wait before making the decision.
You'll definitely learn some valuable things just by taking jobs and trying them and that kind of thing, like the kind of stuff that you just won't learn or graduate school. So it's important to get out there and have some experiences. I went to university for like half a semester and dropped out and started working and kind of exploring and seeing what I wanted to do. And I'm always really grateful that I did that versus the people I know who went to college, did a degree, or even went to graduate school and are only just starting to kind of get on track with their career now. So for me, it was really valuable to be out in the world and learning from my own experiences.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, let's see. We've got one more of these questions that I think we should answer. All of my friends seem to have great jobs, good apartments, and are moving forward with their lives. I'm working at a job I like, but I'm making so little money that I'm still living with my parents. I believe that this job will eventually lead to something bigger, but in the meantime, I can't afford to party with my friends on the weekend, and when I do go out with them, I feel like a loser. What is the best way to avoid comparing myself to everyone around me?
Well, I think it's important, obviously, for all of us not to fall into the comparison trap, which is so easy to fall into. And first of all,
Easy.
So easy. And people's lives are never the way they look on the outside. Everybody struggles. Everybody has issues. Everybody's got problems. And maybe there are ways, so don't feel that, they have a great life and you don't. And maybe there are ways you could come up with creative things to do on the weekends with them that won't cost so much money, so you could all have fun together and you could be with your friends and, potlucks and, fun events together where it doesn't cost a whole lot of money.
Yeah.
And just to have faith in your path. You're on a path, and if you've got to live with your parents for a while, that's fine. I mean, it's just about making compromises until you can get to where you want to be.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's so easy to compare yourself, but you're exactly where you need to be right now, and everybody is. And the things that you'll learn in this moment and over the next 6 months and the next year and 5 years are things that are essential that you needed to learn in the first place. So you're in this position for a reason, I think, and it will help you in the future, but you just can't see it yet.
And that's true about so many things. Hindsight is so helpful. But sometimes when you're in it, you have no way of knowing. You think you're trapped. You think you're stuck. You think you'll never get out of this situation. And life never, ever stays the same. It will change eventually. If you take action, which is a great reason to take this class, because when you take action, life changes. It just has to. It's physics. And, taking it in your own hands and trying to make some changes will lead you to be in a different place than where you are today.
Yeah. Excellent. All right. Well, those are all of our questions for today. So thank you so much for...
Do you want to go and see if there's any that came in? Can you go on the...
I did look, but I didn't see anything.
Okay.
Let me check again. But in the meantime, we are still running our pre-sale. It's going to be active till midnight tonight, and then we're going to switch to full price on Monday. So if you do want to join us, then I would suggest getting in now. Class starts on May the 4th, so we'll be closing everything off a couple of days beforehand. So again, don't miss out. We really would love to have you in this class. Join our Facebook group. It's full of wonderful, exciting, happy people who are all in the same boat as you. They're often, a lot of them are doing something that they like but they don't love, and they're trying to get to that next spot. So you're really in a great supportive network of people, not just them, but Ellen and I are going to be doing this alongside you. We're totally at your disposal for the month, and so it'll be fantastic, and we'd love to see you in the group.
For the 2 months, actually. It's 8 weeks.
That's true. 2
8
months.
Weeks. And you should know that Gala and I are committed to helping people find work they love. That is just our passion. So we really want to help you do that.
Yes, we do. All right, well, thank you everybody for watching. Ellen, is there anything else you want to say before we close off the call?
No, I would just love to see all of you join the course. We think it's going to be amazing and wonderful, and the more people and the more energy and the more interaction, I think the better off we'll all be. So I'm excited to have all of you with us.
Awesome. All right,
thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks everybody for watching, and we will talk to you again soon. Okay, bye.
Bye.